Hello and welcome to episode 143 of Gamers on Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Chesson, and joining me this week is a man who brings his own points of brew to gaming and, of course, beer. It's the other spark on the pod. It's Mr. Steve Carter. Hello, sir. How you doing?
I'm very good, sir. Thank you. How about you?
I'm not too bad. How is Points of Brew? I noticed that last week you put out a bit of an editorial of last year?
Yes, yeah. So I did a recap and a roundup of last year because it was 2018 was the year that I decided to set it up and start my sort of blogging adventures in the world of beer. So It was kind of inspired whilst I was on holiday in April. Then it kind of went on from there. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a look back at sort of the highlights of 2018, just a few bits and bobs, because even though it's been on sort of not even a year yet, but I've did quite a bit in the space of sort of 10 months or so. So yeah, I just did a couple of looks at the sort of my favourite beer of the year, you know, my favourite sort of shop retailer of the year and my festival, that sort of thing. But yes, it's going well. You know, I'm not getting a huge sort of following at the moment, but it's nice to have a bit of interaction with people on Twitter more than anything, you know, share a few thoughts over like-minded beers and people who fancy the same things as I do. So yes, it's going quite well at the moment.
Oh,
yes,
superb.
Not too bad.
We'll stick a link in the show notes to your Points of Brew. I think I did kind of retweet your year because I found it very interesting. What was your favourite beer of the year? Because so Stuart and I did Game of the Year last year. But what is your beer of the year?
So my beer of the year last year was one by Tiny Rebel, so the guys in Wales, one called Pump Up the Jam, which you'd probably like yourself actually. It's basically a raspberry donut in a beer.
Oh yeah.
So it's an IPA, but then it's got a strong raspberry kick to it as well. So it's just as if you like a typical, you know, donut raspberry filling. It's like having that at the back of it as well. So I first tried it whilst we were on holiday. Again, when we started doing the blog in April, much to my dismay, I found that it was only on tap. It wasn't actually canned, so you could only find it by looking for places that actually were serving it in a bar. So it was quite limited. But then just before Christmas, they announced that it was coming out in cans.
Right.
And Anna ordered me 6 cans just after Christmas. They came the first week of the year. So I've had one of the 6 that we've ordered, but I don't want to drink them too quick, so I want to savour them, but not kind of leave them and they get spoiled. So that was my overall winner. But there was lots of honourable mentions over the course of last year because there's so many good beers that come out and are coming out. You know, it's just one of these things that the people are just constantly churning out new beers and different beers, and it's hard to keep up. But it's kind of first world problems. You know, I'm going to have to drink this beer, and there's another beer to try, and you know, so it's a hard life sometimes. But yeah, I'm trying to kind of do a bit more coverage, but kind of limit my beer intake for just weekends rather than evening. I'm on a short week this week, so it's nearly the weekend for me. So my week finishes halfway through Thursday, so technically nearly the weekend.
Wow.
So yes.
This is your
exactly.
Thursday. This is your Thursday.
Yeah. So yes, it's going well. It's going well. Yes.
Right, so that is that kind of widely available now on cans. You know, that the Tiny Rebel. I've seen Tiny Rebel. I've seen some I think I've seen them in my local beer boutique in Tunbridge Wells, and I've also seen one I think in M&S as well. M&S have a really good beer selection. I know after you said that the one that I got on Friday, which was the blockchain beer, once you said the M&S, I kind of popped down to M&S. I think on Sunday. I went out on a quest to find some Worcester sauce, long story, and I ended up going through M&S, and they had some really good beers.
This is in for a lot of supermarkets as well, actually. The one I'm drinking tonight, actually, the Michela one, that's from Marks and Spencer's. As it is. I had the finger in the soil the other night, which is... That's just innuendo bingo all over it, that, isn't it? And that one's hair in the mailbox, if you've got your beard hair trapped in a mailbox. I think the common Danish... sort of mannerisms and sayings like we've got a lot in England. I think that's what they're named after. What put the finger in the soil? I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely sure. I want to Google that, to be honest.
Right.
But yeah, the selection M&S is getting better, as is Tesco as well. I don't know if it's the same for down where you are, but I went. I think it was about mid-November, and you don't get the more sort of niche beers you'd find in a boutique. But for somebody who's trying to sort of get into craft beer and try craft beer and get into new things, it's an excellent place to start. You know, you've kind of got your Latcher Brewdog, which are still perfectly serviceable craft beer, you know, drinks, you know, it depends on which ones you have, because they've got a lot of different varieties now. You know, you get your Vocation in there as well, which again, they're quite local to me. They're available in pretty much every supermarket, and Thornbridge as well. They've been going for quite some years. Now I think they started about 2006 or so. But yeah, considering you can get all that in supermarket, I can see why people wouldn't buy the more expensive ones, but as an entry level place to start, certainly it's getting better. It's getting better. But the Tiny Rebel one is probably more in your sort of your boutique shops, you know, your sort of your bottle shops. You probably, I very much doubt you'd see that in the supermarket. I think things like Club Tropicana, there's one called Dutty by Tiny Rebel. You probably see them in supermarkets or M&S, but these sort of more limited runs, they'd be sort of limited and restricted to your bottle shops, I imagine.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Oh, I fancy a beer now. I should have bought a beer up. I have a coffee instead.
There you go. We can have a beer break. It's fine.
Exactly.
We've only got 5 minutes. We'll have a beer break already.
Just play some music. Just play some. Yeah. Actually, it's quite funny. Actually, James kind of messaged today, and it was there was a 10-hour loop of the music from the Wii. I think it was the Wii U eShop, and there was just like a 10-hour loop of the music from there. We should just play that for like a little while while I go get a beer. I have a couple in the fridge. I think I might have. I don't know. Maybe I drank them all at the weekend.
It's happening. It's happening.
I'll put a link to that 10-hour loop because it was bonkers when Thomas sent it to me today. But it was very
Cue the
interesting.
Wii U music.
So yeah. So anything else, kind of apart from obviously kind of putting out that kind of year? Obviously you heard our Game of the Year or Games of the Year. I think more of a celebration than an outright kind of Game of the Year. Stuart and I kind of waxing lyrical about all of the kind of top games of last year, our top games of last year. So that's kind of now available on YouTube and podcast services. But do you have any kind of quick ones that you wanted to maybe mention that maybe we didn't?
I think for me, really, it's just the sort of the biggies that came out last year that were kind of looking at sort of my, you know, highlights of the year. I mean, I probably didn't play as many games as I probably would have liked to, or probably should have done. My main sort of sinkholes for hours were Sea of Thieves, Red Dead Redemption, Forza Horizon, that sort of thing, and I think even Far Cry 4 was kind of one of the top things that I played, so everything was pretty sort of high up, you know, in terms of sort of the AAA titles rather than the smaller ones. So I think my outright Game of the Year would have to be Red Dead Redemption, just purely because of the hours that I put into it. Yes. You know, I think my first playthrough set me back 60 hours or so. Not touched the online, not necessarily bothered about that, but I will come back to it and play it down the different path again, and probably again lose another 60 hours or so in it. But I'd say between that, Sea of Thieves and Forza / Far Cry would probably be my top sort of 3 games. But you know, as you guys said, you sort of honourable mention or big shout out to Microsoft for the Game Pass, you know, system. I'd completely jump on board with that, because for me, was it Sunday? I think I was messaging you guys just asking about, you know, I was listening to the podcast and talking about Game Pass and, you know, downloading Life is Strange, you know, below that sort of thing. I was downloading them just for sort of times where I've got a bit of a gap.
Yes.
Before we decided we were going to Cornwall this weekend, I've kind of had half day Thursday, all day Friday off, and I got all day Monday off of work. So I was kind of like, right, well, I've pretty much got a long weekend here. We've got nothing planned. I will just sink a load of time into the Xbox. So I was kind of downloading and prepping for that, which obviously won't happen now. But, you know, come some time when I've got some availability, I've got all those sort of Game Pass games just sat waiting to go now. And I think there's, like you said, there's over 100, there's like nearly 100 or just over 100 games on there now at one time, something like that. And
I think it's like 171 or
yeah,
something. There was a load of games. I can't remember, maybe 115. It was just like there was so many games that year in review that they posted. There's just like so many, and more coming. You know, we've had a tweet just I think today or yesterday from Game Pass. It's a really good Twitter account to follow. So whoever's running that kind of has a real laugh with it. And I think there's about 5 or 6 games that are still coming in January, and they kind of blurred out the titles of what they are. I think one of them's a Lego game. I kind of have a feeling that one of them's a Lego game, and one of them may even be, I forgot there was another one as well that was like, oh, I want to kind of jump into that, but they were all blurred out and people were trying to guess. But there's two more coming this week, and I think 4 more coming next week.
Yeah, and considering that you get all the first party things as well, it's ridiculous, because I played Sea of Thieves through Game Pass, I played Forza through Game Pass, and in a way it feels criminal that you play, you get in a game that's worth £40-50 and you're paying £8 for the one form, and it's ridiculous, considering the hours and the quality of the games you're getting. But even just that, the lower titles as well, the indie support, I think you said, isn't there about sort of like 40 or 50 games or something that were through ID, so like the indie games and things like that. So it's really, really well structured and well run. And it has to continue, in a way. I think Stu was right in terms of how Microsoft have clawed back gradually this generation. The Xbox One got off to a stinker of a start, didn't it? With how it was advertised, with you can't share games, it's online and this and that and the other. But with the X, with Game Pass, with what they're doing with the online services, the Xbox Cloud and the Microsoft Cloud and things like that, it's slowly building, I think, into the next generation, which will be pretty much Microsoft's sort of ultimate package, as it were, to say, this is the only machine that you will need. It has everything you need. Everything is available in whatever platform, because even now you've got the fast launch option with the sort of the smart downloading, haven't you, with, the sort of the digital games. So, if there was some way they could make that happen, say you can play minutes or whatever, it'd be incredible. So, and there's even rumours of a disc-free Xbox Next, isn't there? Or maybe even this generation, there's an Xbox coming without a disc drive, which I think I'm ready to jump on board with that now. With how the internet is and technology is now, given that we have internet speeds that are, on average above 50 meg, you could easily download any sized game in half an hour, 40 minutes, and especially if you've got the smart download option, you could be playing in 10 or 15, couldn't you? So yes, I think this is starting to slowly building to be sort of their ultimate sort of hand, as it were, to kind of try and push Sony's nose out of the next generation. So, but yeah, that'd be certainly my honourable mention, or my main mention for the year, definitely.
But I think, I was talking about it last week, but I just think I love the idea that, kind of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out this week, and I was kind of at work, I kind of saw the tweet, so all I did was just kind of open up the app and say, right, grab that, download, and it downloaded it straight to my Xbox. So when I actually kind of was downstairs and ready to play, it was just sitting there waiting, and I just love that they are bringing these titles out, and I can just kind of just within a couple of clicks of a button while I'm at work, kind of just let that kind of just do its thing and download, and it's just ready to go. So it's always like, and you might, I had a quick try of Absolver from Devolver Digital that kind of came out, and it's a little bit of a weird kind of beat 'em up, really. But it was fun. I just kind of played it for a couple of hours, and I was like, yeah, this is good. I can see what you're doing. I can, I'm enjoying it. It's okay. I haven't been back to it, but it was just nice just to kind of jump in and just actually kind of try it, because as I've always attested to, Broforce was a big one with that, where I'm like, I don't want to play this. And I just started playing Broforce and I couldn't put it down, and so with those, anything that's added to Game Pass, it's only your time that you kind of lose if you don't like that game. So it's always worth to kind of just jump in and just have a quick look. But yeah, absolutely, no, that's good. That's good. I wanted to just kind of catch up with you, because I guess Red Dead was the one thing that kind of Stuart and I didn't talk about. But we'll chat a bit about that when we kind of get to kind of what we've been playing, which I guess we could probably jump in now. Actually, do you want to just keep going, Steve? What have you been playing this week?
Let's free roll. So yeah, the main thing that I played before Christmas was obviously Red Dead Redemption, and finally kind of getting that to its conclusion, because it's one of them games where you think it's ending, and then it looks like it's ending, and then it just keeps going, and then it keeps going, and then it keeps going. Oh, it's ending again. No, it keeps going. So
I've heard the epilogue is a lengthy thing.
I think if you string it out, the epilogue could probably last 10 hours itself, and it's just like, really? So I think it's a bit long in the tooth towards the end. I think it does ever so slightly overstay its welcome. I think that's probably my main criticism of it. Is probably a bit of a lot of namby-pamby, and there's probably a bit things that they put in there just for the sake of putting in there. There's a couple of missions in particular that you think was just a sort of an idea in sort of a boardroom. It's like, oh, this would be really cool if we did that, and then they tried to work it in with the story. It's like there's a few sequences and probably a full chapter that you could just probably chop out of it, and it would just seamlessly fit together. So, but it's incredible. It is incredible, and nobody can deny that. It looks fantastic. It plays fantastic. It's the closest thing I think a video game will get to being a movie. Because Anna was quite happy to sit and watch me play Red Dead Redemption and just get probably as much enjoyment out of it as I would playing it. Just because everything's written to absolute perfection, and we kind of covered the stories leading up to its release, about the sort of the hours the staff were putting in, that sort of thing. But given its quality, you can see where those hours have gone and how that's paid off, and it's not perfect by any means. There are some niggles with it, but with a game of that scale, of that quality, there are bound to be some things that go wrong, and no game can hope to be bug-free, or glitch-free. But I didn't really have any bugs or glitches beyond the occasional sort of control issue where John decided he was going to kind of wander off and do his own thing and just be a bit reluctant to do what I wanted him to do. But it's that's sort of more the end chapter when you're doing chores. But yeah, the Arthur's story is fantastic, and it's great to just play it and be in that world because it's so believable. If you look at sort of the amount of research that went into the time period and the history of America during that time and getting everything as factually correct as it could possibly be, it is just a perfect glimpse of America, and each sort of part of the map represents a different state and what it was like. And again, you can see it all. There's parts that are still affected by the Civil War, there's battlegrounds that are still kind of scattered with dead trees and debris from the war. You've got old war veterans that are in certain towns and drunkards, and it is crazy, and it is sort of that. And towards the end, it kind of delves more into the sort of the ongoing battle between the Native Americans, between the army and the battle for, their territory and, wiping the Indians out. And, you kind of got a bit of a sort of a path to lead on that front. But it's an incredible game, and to see it to its end, like I say, I put about 60 hours in, just to get to its conclusion, which, like I say, probably the last 10 were probably the epilogue, which, again, probably not needed, but it tied up a couple of loose ends and kind of maybe set up this, Red Dead Redemption 1, because this is obviously a prequel, but you probably could have left off where it did. But yeah, I will retread it at some point because as anyone's played it, it'll know you've got choices to make in the world which have repercussions, and you can finish the game honourable or dishonourable, and then that affects the ending that you get and affects the choices through the game. I'd only say that really I noticed sort of the impact of the choice I made as the ending more than anything. I wouldn't have said that it seemed to have a noticeable impact on my choices for the rest of the game. There are a couple of there's a really nice sequence towards the end though where you're kind of, you think it's going to finish, one of these moments where you think it's going to finish, and then you kind of get snippets of your choices that you made and flashbacks to what you did and what you could have done. And if you've made the sort of dishonourable choices, it'll show you all those flashbacks, and if you made the honourable choices, it'll show you those flashbacks. And that tied with the music and the setting, it's a really really cinematic piece of gaming, and it was really good.
Wow.
But that's the main thing I finished off just before Christmas. I wound that down and got that polished off. Then after I finished that, I got Red Dead Fallout 76 from Boomerang. I sent back Lego Incredibles from the Switch, and then I got Fallout 76, which I know's kind of got a lot of mixed sort of reviews, sort of mixed emotions about it. I think it's been quite knocked on, sort of Metacritic and sort of in sort of games publications because it's not Fallout, quote unquote. It's not a proper Fallout game, but from what I've been playing, I've quite enjoyed it. To be fair, it's not Fallout 4, it's not Fallout 3, it's not your traditional Fallout game, but it is something different, which I quite applaud them for doing that. So it's probably the way, like Elder Scrolls Online is Elder Scrolls, but not Oblivion or it's not Skyrim. You know, it's probably the same ilk as that, and it is all online, although you can play it, you know, on your own. But it is definitely a game to enjoy with either one or more people. That's all I'll say. You know, I play it with Adam, one of my friends from home. We try and join up when we can and play. He's kind of level sort of 30, 40, maybe even 50 now, and I've just kind of started getting into level sort of 15 and 20. But yeah, I enjoy it. You know, it's just a game that you can just have a wander around for, just play a few missions and then just kind of put it down. It's a bit sort of similar to Sea of Thieves in a way, in terms of, you know, what it's going to give you. You know, just join up with a few people, just wander around for a few hours, do a few quests, you know, level up, get a few new items and things, and then just close it down and you know, and call it a day, because there is a story to it, but it's more kind of sort of for this sort of open world to go and explore with other people and do missions as they appear, and, you know, sort of daily quests, weekly quests, you know, and then challenges, that sort of thing. So it's a bit sort of Sea of Thieves, a little bit Destiny, sort of a bit Forza with these sort of public events and things. So I quite like it. I don't have you played it all or kind of been on your horizon?
No, I've kind of, because not only I've kind of did it make kind of headlines for not being kind of a traditional Fallout game, I think it also made headlines because it was a big old mess as well. Have you kind of, so I've kind of stayed away from it. I kind of thought that it was either going to be a game that's going to be great kind of maybe in the summer when it's been patched and fixed. Have you come across any of the bugs or any of those issues?
Not
or
really,
kind of...
no. I mean, everything's been kind of bug free since we started, or since I started playing it with Adam anyway. There's kind of a bit of an issue where, because it's online, and obviously there can be a bit of sort of lag, or sort of a bit like rubber bandy when enemies are sort of running at you, and the main
right, what together.
Yeah, that's it. And obviously it's having to tie everything together and obviously sync everything between two players. And my main thing that I've noticed really is sort of using VATS, you know, the targeting system, because obviously in sort of Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, it can pause the world to allow that to happen, but because it's online, it can't do that. So obviously it kind of slows the enemy down, but not a lot, because it has to keep them moving for everybody else in the world as well. But then that in turn makes it a bit sort of jaggedy and a bit sort of... It's a bit weird, really, because you'll aim at it, but then it takes a while to set itself, and then it'll say it's got 90% hit accuracy, and then it'll suddenly drop to 60, then you'll miss, and then you'll use all your AP. So that's the only thing I've really found difficult to it, because it doesn't really work, because it can't really work for everyone, because if you pause that use VATS, the world can't stop or slow down for everyone. So, but apart from that, it's fine. You know, it's not the sort of the polished article, as it were, you know, because obviously it's kind of a rendered world of probably however many servers they've got, maybe 200 worlds at one go, you know, so it's not as crisp or as clinical as, you know, Fallout 4 might be, but it's not ugly by any means. There's no sort of pop-in, you know, there's no sort of issues with how it runs and operates. For me, it's all been okay, so I think they must have done a lot of, you know, work in the background to smooth the bugs and, you know, polish it off, because, like I said, there was a lot of negativity about it when it first launched, which I get it, you know, for an online game, until you've kind of really fully launched, you know, I don't think you'll kind of know how it runs till it kind of gets to that point, really, you know, with all the best will in the world, with soft launches, betas, that sort of thing, you can kind of test it with a limited number, but until you get 200,000 people bombarding your servers at one go, you're not going to know what kind of breaking point it is, are you? So, So I enjoy it. You know, it is Fallout. It kind of scratches a Fallout itch for me, you know, because we're in that sort of period where Bethesda now will be looking at making sort of an Oblivion or Skyrim game next, which we know is coming. And then obviously it's not going to be then a while till another Fallout game then comes out, which is probably looking at next generation now. You know, probably you'd say another Fallout's probably not another year and a half to 2 years away. So it scratches that itch for me, because I prefer Fallout games out of the two franchises that Bethesda do. Doing that sort of historical but sci-fi sort of twist. So it does it for me. But is it the best Fallout game? No, but you know, it's better than what it was, I imagine. But I don't have anything to compare it against, because I didn't play it when it first came out. So So that's kind of been sort of my go-to. But
have you come across anyone else, apart from obviously your mate, have you come across anyone else in your world? Because I think you only have about 24 people, isn't it? In any one kind of play session, I think you have about 24 people. Have you come across anyone?
Yeah, so like I say, there's a limited number of people that are in your world at one time, and it's kind of, what you find is that you kind of amongst other sort of various different levels of players, so it's not kind of, right, we'll put you in a world that's similar, and then you'll kind of gradually build up and build up and build up. You're just plonked in a world that's kind of other people, because the world doesn't level to you. It kind of is just certain areas have stronger enemies, so like one part of the map will have sort of level 40, 50, then another one will be level 1 to 10, and then 20 to 30, and etc, etc. So you find that your stronger players do go towards the sort of the more difficult areas of the map, but people are attracted by obviously the public events. So when public quests come up, so like the limited time things come up, those quests then bring a care package and like a supply drop afterwards. So you all get items and caps based on obviously the performance of the mission and how many people have played it. So it does attract people, but you find that people kind of stick to themselves. I've not been attacked by anyone. You can't just be killed by somebody. You can't just initiate combat with somebody.
Right.
Basically, until I think it unlocks at level 5. I think to level 5 you're safe, but then after that, if somebody shoots you and you shoot back, then it initiates combat and initiates as a fight and a standoff, as it were. But if you shot somebody and they didn't return fire, then that'll just leave it at that. So I think it's kind of good in a way, so you're not kind of getting your experience spoiled by somebody who's level 70 just running around and killing all the new players, you know what I mean? So it is kind of good that it's balanced in that way. But you do kind of naturally stumble across other people, especially if they're doing sort of the same mission as you or the main mission, because there are, like I said, there's a story, as it were, and some main missions which you can complete. So if you inevitably you'll end up stumbling across folks doing the same missions as you. But yeah, it's not overcrowded. That's the main thing. It keeps the kind of the facade alive that obviously you're in a sort of a wasteland and a sort of a nuclear holocaust. So it's not overpopulated, so you're not bumping into people every 5 minutes. So it does still give it that feel that it is plausible that you 20 people are the only ones who have come out of the vault and have survived to kind of, do the whole reclamation piece. Because
you're like the first set of guys, aren't you? The first bunch of guys that are kind of coming out of that. So, from what you're saying, it sounds very similar. As you were saying, it sounds very similar to like kind of Sea of Thieves or Destiny, where you just kind of come across those guys. Like Destiny was always fun because you turn a corner and there'll be someone there because they're doing that story as well. And then, like you say, a public event would happen and then everyone would run over there, help each other, you get some loot, and then you just go about your way.
Well, that's it. And it's kind of like you say, you're the first, the first people out into the wasteland since the sort of the bombs were dropped, and that's good in a way because the world's different to what any other Fallout game is. So you've got areas of greenery, it's not kind of all barren, not everything's away.
Wow, they've actually found a colour.
Yeah, that's it.
Green.
Yeah, it's not just all browns and greys, and so it is very good in terms of how they've done it because it is something different, and it'd be good to see what if they just did this as a traditional Fallout game. It'd be good to see what they could do if they just did that. In terms of instead of making it an online game like this,
time period, that kind of
this. If you did the whole, you're the first person out of the vault, or you're the only survivor of this Vault 76, So, but it's the same way. You get new bits of armor, you get new weapons at different levels, and have different sort of, they have different perks. So one's more accurate, one does more damage, that sort of thing. So it is very sort of Destiny-like, if you want to say, with how it plays out. But yeah, it's like I say, I enjoy it.
I'm glad it's bug free. I'm glad you're not kind of experienced because some of those bugs that were kind of coming out seemed quite kind of weird and quite strange. But I'm glad maybe. And you're playing it on Xbox?
Yes, that's on the X, that one. Yeah, so that's kind of my go-to. My PlayStation doesn't really get much use these days, yes. But yeah, I don't really have any complaints about it beyond it just feeling a bit sort of, sort of empty and sort of lonely, but I guess that's kind of how the game's supposed to be. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of, it's supposed to be that way, but it's definitely better played with other people anyway.
Superb. Anything else on your playlist?
Yeah, just the last one, which I think I touched on just as we were starting, is that I downloaded Life is Strange again, and I went back to that. So I've downloaded the full range that's available. So I downloaded the full first season of Life is Strange downloaded before the storm, and how are we? Is it just the first episode that's on there of Life is Strange 2, or is that the full shebang as well?
No, it's just the first episode.
Yeah.
We've only had one episode. I think episode 2 is coming out at the end of January,
right?
But we've only had episode 1 of Life is Strange 2 at the moment. So you've got Life is Strange, and then all of those episodes. There's about 5 episodes in that, isn't there? And then Before the Storm as well.
Yeah, so I've downloaded that to go through. So I polished the first episode off in quite quick time, because I played that when it came back out back in the day, but then didn't go back to it again. So I did that, played that one, got all the sort of the optional photographs in there, got the achievements for that, and I'm set up and ready to go on episode 2 now. So I'm quite looking forward to going back to that, because it was that's something a little bit. It's sort of obviously the similar vein to sort of The Walking Dead, that sort of thing, the sort of the Telltale games, but in a sort of a different manner, isn't it? So, I suppose if you say it's a bit sort of consequential in that sort of sense, that your choices have an impact on the rest of the game, and I enjoyed going, at the end, looking back at what, or sort of like you guys have chosen, the choice at the end, and the global, population who have played it have chosen, that sort of thing. So it's kind of, that's the sort of game that you can just sort of relax and play through, isn't it? Just sort of chill out and just play a bit of an episode of Life is Strange, and then come back to the next one and just sort of play it sequentially. So
absolutely. I think the music, just listening to that and playing that, the music in those games are incredible. So much so that I've kind of, there's a couple of I listen to kind of Apple Music, but I know there's available on Spotify as well. There's some playlists where you can just kind of listen to the music from Life is Strange, and not only the original stuff, but the kind of licensed material, the licensed songs that they have in the game. You can kind of, then it's just such a nice, when I'm working at home in the office, it's just so nice to have that kind of playlist running in the background. I love it. It's just such a great game.
Yeah. The other thing, do you know at the start of the first episode, and obviously you put your headphones in just as you're walking out into the corridor of the school, just as you leave the classroom.
Yes.
When I first played that, am I going mental, or was that a different song at the start of it? Because I think, was it not Crosses that played at the start of that? And then when I played it the second time on Sunday, that was a different song to what I remember it being. Now, has that changed, or am I just going completely nuts?
That's really interesting.
Because I'm sure it was Crosses. I can't remember the artist, but I'm sure it was that song when I first played it. But when I played it again, it was a different song. I'm sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I kind of want to Google that.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it, but you just reminded me. Because
I can't remember, because I remember it being, so I remember kind of like, you're in good company when that first song kind of really just kicks in, and you were just, I just absolutely loved it.
Yeah, you're just wandering down the corridor. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to have to Google this now. Was it like that? This is where, because I know
Crosses, because it was definitely Crosses when you kind of, I'm not seeing anything that's on there. There is a Life is Strange corresponding scenes kind of Reddit forum that will kind of take you from like, this is that one and this is played there. So maybe it might be, but maybe you're just getting mental, Steve.
I could be, but I'm sure it was a different song. I'm sure it was, because I was getting ready for it.
It says here in this Reddit thread that the Crosses is in Max's room if she turns on the MP3. Yeah, so maybe you are.
But I thought she'd played that when she went in the corridor.
No, that's Sid Matters to all of you.
It was just for me.
It
was just for me. I thought she did that.
It's right. It's the next song.
Yeah, I'm not a million miles away. Yeah.
So yeah, you're like,
yeah, just not completely mental anyway. Almost, but not completely.
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost.
But yeah, it's but yeah, like you say, the soundtrack with everything in it, like say when Max first puts headphones in there, and you've got the sort of, even when you put the you sort of the music on that's not licensed, it's not a licensed song in Chloe's bedroom. It's kind of ties into the game very closely, doesn't it? And that kind of, I think everybody is that way in terms of music means something different to different people, doesn't it? And different songs have different meanings, and different people interpret in different ways. So it's quite sort of touching and sort of thought provoking, isn't it? Because it gives you a feel as to what's going on in sort of their life, in their world, what they're thinking. So it is quite a sort of a touching and endearing story. And it's obviously, I'm guessing you've completed the first season. I'm right in saying that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm guessing you've probably played it several times over, but I'm quite interested because obviously, it's not really a spoiler alert. It came out in about 2016, didn't it? This Life is Strange. So obviously the end of the first episode, you've got the sort of the incoming storm, the sort of premonition that Max has had. I'm kind of interested to see what that is. Is it actually a storm? Is it, just a storm inside her mind because things are going to start changing in her life and that sort of thing? So I am quite interested to see how it pans out and how it plays out.
Is it a metaphorical storm?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it could be more deep and meaningful. In her teenage angst, it could just be a sign of things to come. But yes, I think I might even try and play it a little bit after we've podded tonight.
You'll be like, right, and that's it. Thanks very much.
Yes. Or I'll find myself playing it and I'll finish all 5 episodes and find myself still at 4 a.m. when I need to be up at 6. And I'm like, I might as well just stay up now. Yeah, just keep going. Let's just keep going.
I absolutely love the experience I had when I was playing that. I think James and I have kind of mentioned it a couple of times on the pod, but we were just literally messaging each other going, have you just got to that bit? Tell me when you've got to this bit. And there are some choices that you have to make in that game that are just so difficult. They are just so difficult to make. And I came across one that was very similar in Life is Strange 2, but nothing will kind of be as wow factor as that first game. That first game was just absolutely amazing. But Life is Strange 2 is kind of good, but in a whole other way, and Max and Chloe will always be. And like I say, it's really interesting. And again, kind of James and I have kind of said this many times, but it's really interesting how we were like almost matched each other's playthrough all the way through Life is Strange until the end. And then we were just like, we were both, and it was just because it was only James and I that were playing, so we were just, it was like 50-50, and that was it. And it was just really bizarre. But what I should do is I should fire it up because it'd be really interesting because I think Stuart's playing it a bit now. I think Manny played it back in the day as well. So it might be interesting to kind of see with more people playing now, especially with it available now on Game Pass, just to see how those choices are. Because like you, I love that sort of thing. That's one of the things I always liked about the Telltale games is when you finished an episode, you're always like, oh, all right, so how do my choices stack up to everybody else's?
Yeah, I think for me as well, it makes it sort of worse or more unnerving that you can change your choices as well. Because if it was more a case of that, I've made this choice and I have to live with it now. It's that it always makes you second guess yourself by when you make that choice. It goes, oh well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. What if I do this? And then you go back and play it, and it's like, oh, but what? But which is kind of the lesser of two evils, then, isn't it? Because it's like, oh, but I've done that, so I've helped that person, but then I've ruined my own future. But then, I've saved my own future, but now that person's really depressed and upset. So it's like, but what do I do? So I think it'd be
never go back.
Yeah,
never go back.
That's what I mean. I think it's harder for me knowing that I can make that choice. It's like, should I? Shouldn't I? Should I? Then I'm stood there for a good 5 minutes thinking, what should I do? What should I do? Rather than just being, right, you've made your bed, so now you've got to lay in it. So
yes.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I'd say is that's the worst decision ever, is giving people the choice to go back and change what they've done.
It was quite funny, actually, because over Christmas when I was doing my Chivo battle, one of the games that was kind of like I could just go in and mop up some more achievements was Life is Strange, but I didn't want to go back in because I didn't want to mess up my choices. I didn't want to go back in that world. But then I found out that you could just go back in and just go into photo mode. So you didn't touch any of your choices or any consequences, but you can go back and do all of those photos that you need to do. All of those the pics you need to take. You can actually go back and do those without touching without making any decisions.
Oh, that's good.
And so, which was really cool. But I never did because I just couldn't do it. I couldn't go back into that world because for me it's all kind of moved on, and it really did. It really was like one of those games that really did just kind of tug at your heartstrings type thing.
Kind of glad I know that now, because I feel that because I watched the sort of a YouTube sort of walkthrough how to get the extra pictures in the first episode, which I didn't really mind because I've already played it. I'm glad there is that option, because if you kind of watch that, it would kind of very much dictate and maybe not spoil, but kind of influence the sort of decisions that you make, and maybe not give you a sort of a true playthrough. So I'm glad they've kind of thought of that to say, well, play it and then you can go back and do that, but not change anything. So that's quite good and quite thoughtful of them.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I was getting to the other night. When you said, is it okay to kind of play through this? And I was just like, as long as it doesn't spoil, as long as you don't kind of like go through a whole thing and it just tells you what happens in that episode, but you know what photos to take. Like I say, you could, if you wanted to, do that episode and then go back and then go into photo mode. And then I think it unlocks after every episode, but I think, or you could alternatively wait until you've finished the game. But yeah, Life is Strange and also Before the Storm, they are just so good. It's so good. And obviously we've already had one episode of Life is Strange 2, but already that's kind of hitting in the feels.
Is that the full series that's going to be on Game Pass then, or is that kind of to be confirmed as to what's coming out?
Yes, we don't know. There's been some wording. There was some strange wording because basically they just said like, Episode 1 is now available with other episodes coming soon to Game Pass. Now, whether that means they'll be coming out at the same time, because I've bought the season pass, I think James has bought the season pass. So obviously, if they now suddenly went, here's episode 2, 3, and 4, and all those people that have bought the season pass, it kind of, so maybe it might be a delayed thing.
Yeah.
So maybe it might be that you're a couple of months behind or something like that. It comes first to those people that have bought the season pass. I don't know, but they weren't. When they announced it, they basically said, here's episode 1 with other episodes coming later to Game Pass. So it's definitely coming, but we don't know what that release window is. No.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to wait till it all comes out. You know, kind of, I think it kind of sort of saves the sort of aggro from people. Because like you say, you're rightly so, you'd be a bit aggrieved if you'd sort of paid that money for the season pass, then it just came out on Game Pass anyway, and it's like, well, I've wasted, £20-30 on that for, not wasted it, but obviously, when you consider you could probably get it for free, you probably would choose that option. When you know it's great to give money to them to obviously to support them, but they'll be getting money from Microsoft to be on Game Pass, won't they? So, so I think I'd be a bit annoyed if I'd have done that, but I'm happy to.
Well, that's the way I was justifying it in my head. I was like, well, I've given Don't Nod some money, and that's kind of all that matters because I love Life is Strange so much, and I was like, that was kind of how I justified it to myself. I was like, yeah, I'll just do that. I'll do that, but yeah, no. So we don't know yet, but yeah, I can't wait. It's you know, I'm envious that you kind of get to play it all in one chunk because I'd love to do that with Life is Strange 2 now. I'd love to just kind of. I think when I finished episode 1, I was just like, yeah, give me more. You know, give me more now. And I think that's what I did when Life is Strange, the original one, was out. I think I kind of came to it a bit late. I think it was over Christmas and it had come out that year. And I think I heard a lot of people talking about it as their kind of, you know, game of the year, but it hadn't quite finished. So I think I played through all but one episode and then I kind of played that final episode when it was released. So I finished it along with everybody else, but I managed to kind of burn through 3 or 4 episodes together and it was just glorious. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it's I kind of, I guess from sort of just for continuity more than anything, it'd be better to play them all in one, wouldn't it? To kind of just so you don't forget what happened. So, what happened again? And because I mean, it gives you the recap, doesn't it? You know, it says, you know, what happened previously.
On Life
so
is
it does give you that sort of typical American TV show sort of recap, doesn't it? But it won't be the same as just playing it and then just going straight to the next episode, then straight to the next one, just piggybacking off each one, will it? So yeah. So I think I might try and do a bit of time in episode 2 tonight if I've got some time to do it. But if not, I've got Thursday afternoon anyway before we go away. So I'll do a bit of packing and then I've packed a few bits. So I'll just have a little break now and then just then go back to packing. So yeah. But I'll try and get it finished off and then move on to sort of Before the Storm and then maybe leave season 2 to see what's happening with the sort of this ambiguous season pass business and then go from there. Because I think I prefer to kind of play it in sort of close proximity rather than playing episode 1 now and then episode 2 sort of 4 months down the line. And not that it'd be a great shame to have to replay them, but obviously just to kind of play it in one, so I can do one playthrough with how I'd play it and then maybe go back to it and then play it a different way. Yeah,
don't forget, before you start Life is Strange 2, you've got that other kind of one-shot kind of game, which was, you know, Little Chappie and His Awesome Adventure or something that it was called. I can't remember what it was called now. Captain Awesome and His Incredible Adventure. I think it was, you know, the one where you was like, this is you in a video game to me. And it was just, I think it was like Captain Awesome and the Awesome Adventure, but I prefer Little Chappie. But you got to play that because I believe that the kid that's in that Little Chappie and His Awesome Adventure is in episode 2. So it kind of starts to pay off on that one. So you've got a lot of Life is Strange ahead of you, sir, and
a lot of progress.
I'm excited for you and also jealous. But for me, I've been I played Resident Evil. I played the one-shot demo. So I talked about it last week. We were talking about that one-shot demo was coming out, and it kind of came out on Friday. So I kind of downloaded it on my way home from work and got to play it. Actually, I got to play it on Saturday because Nicola was playing. Nicola's playing Spider-Man, so she's actually kind of she platinumed Spider-Man. She's platinumed the main game on Spider-Man. I was very proud. I didn't do that, and I love Spider-Man. It was my game of the year, and I didn't do that. So Absolutely, she does the same thing with like most games that she plays, like with kind of her and her brother, kind of like they just kind of Lego games, they will not stop until they've got 1,000. It's amazing to watch, and she did that on Spider-Man, and so there was a couple of achievements or trophies that she had to get through, and then she kind of got 100% on that. When then I looked at the DLC, I was like, oh, by the way, you got 3 DLCs, and she's like, there's more DLC, so she's now playing that now because they all had 0%, and that's a red flag to a Duke. So she was like, right, I've got to get that up to 100%. So she's now working towards that. But I jumped into the Resident Evil when I could get the big TV because I wanted to see this in 4K HDR. I wanted to see that on that nice big shiny TV, and I wanted to kind of play on there. And I'm so glad I waited. So it was Saturday night, stuck my headphones on, and played the Resident Evil 2 one-shot demo. And it's only lasts for half an hour. So you're Leon. You're arriving at the RCPD, the Raccoon City Police Department, and then you basically just it all starts to unfold, and the story just kind of starts to unfold, and I just absolutely love it. It kind of transported me back to that Resident Evil 2 but it's almost familiar but different. Almost think of it like Force Awakens. It's kind of familiar, but it's shinier and more awesome than you would ever think. And it's great. Leon Kennedy, his character model, and I've only got to play him in the demo because, like I say, you can only play it once. But I have heard that people are getting around it by just kind of creating another account on their Xbox or PlayStation, and they can play it again. But so you just play it for half an hour, and then you kind of. But the really interesting thing was I kind of had my gun in Resident Evil. The controls are lovely. It's no longer the kind of old Resi controls. It's no longer that. So it's very kind of updated control system, and it just feels right. And so I've got my gun. I kind of shot a zombie that are just bullet sponges. You get scared when you see a zombie come around the corner, and one kept getting up as well. One kept getting up, and so I'm there with my torch, and I've got my gun, and I'm trying to reload my gun, and you just see Leon just kind of lodge his torch kind of in his shoulder blade, and it was just that little kind of thing that it was awesome. So he's got his torch, and he's just lodged it in his shoulder blade while he's reloading, and then he grabs his torch again, and it was just those little animations that I really liked. And it's just, like I say, this game is looking fantastic. The HDR is kind of really helping that kind of dark light kind of areas. It's scary as well. It's scary, and it's gory, and it's Resident Evil. There's some bonkers puzzles already. You got to you're in a police department, but yet the police department has got a secret passage to get out of, because all police departments have a secret passage, but you can only get it by kind of solving 3 riddles. It's all that sort of stuff. But I really like it, and it's coming out on the 25th, so we're kind of like a week and change away from when it's coming out, and I'm day one with this. This is going to be. It's going to be fantastic, and I can't wait to play it. And I saw they're kind of teasing kind of more characters that are coming in. There's a trailer if you get to the end of it, which I didn't in my 30 minutes, unfortunately. But if you got to the end, there was a trailer that you kind of saw kind of more information. With today being today's day and age, it's already online, so I got to see it that way. But it just kind of starts to tease some other characters in the Resident Evil franchise in the game as well. And I was blown away by it. I was absolutely blown away. I was blown away by how tense they have. Is it binaural sound, or by where you can just like spatial sound? So you can turn that on. I had my headphones on, and you can turn that on, and you can pinpoint where that zombie or where that sound's coming from. And it really added to the experience. It was really, this is a game that I want to play in the dark, which is good at the moment because it's dark at 3:00. So I want to play in the dark, and I want to play with headphones on, on that big TV, because it was just all of those things together just made for a very scary, immersive experience. Obviously not as immersive as when I was playing Resident Evil in VR last year, but still, kind of, this is just so cool. Are you tempted to jump into Resident Evil? Have you tried the demo?
Tried the demo. I remember Resident Evil from, I'm kind of going to sound really sort of go back to my youth here. I remember Resident Evil when I was...
You're a wee nipper when that came out,
weren't you? Whippersnapper, but when did it first come out? Probably sort of like 98, 99, if not a little bit before then. So I was only sort of like, I was under 10 when it first came out anyway, let's put it that way. So I do remember Resident Evil and playing it very briefly, and I don't have as...
1998.
So, yeah, so I was born in 91, so I was 7. I was 7 when it came out. So,
oh my God.
So I have faint and distant memories of it, but obviously I've not kind of got the sort of the emotional attachment as what sort of oldies you guys will have, because what will that been? You've been teens, early 20s when that came out, something like that.
Yeah, I'll be early 20s when that came out. So yes.
So you'll have had the benefit of kind of having all this sort of what I will have grown up with, like sort of the 360, that sort of thing. So that's kind of, my bread and butter to what this will have been to you guys. So I will get it eventually. I will try it because, I think the way you've sort of explained it there, that's kind of the impact that Resident Evil had when it very first came out, because when it first came out, it was 3D, it had the zombies, it was kind of tense with sort of inventory management, and kind of puzzles and trying to get out and survive. So I think that sort of, with it having this update with this new sound and obviously sort of new mechanics, as it were, it kind of will bring those moments back from when it very, very first came out. So is it sort of a remake and sort of remaster of the kind of added bits to it, or is it just a case of this is what it would be if it came out today, sort of thing, in terms of like remade it from the ground up?
Yeah, it's definitely kind of remade. It doesn't look like there's nothing for the old game, because like I say, the control system, the environment, everything, it just looks like this game has been made from the ground up. Think of it as kind of that Final Fantasy VII remake that we're never going to get. That it kind of it's kind of very similar to that. If it is retreading the steps of the old one, I can't remember, because I'm sure there's bits that will kind of pop in, but right now none of that is kind of ringing any bells from when I played it the first time. And I finished both of the Resident Evil 1 and 2. I think they were both on the PlayStation. I think Resident Evil 3 was on PlayStation 2. But it's not kind of, I'm not remembering any of the story at the moment, so it's so I don't know if they've kind of maybe just tweaked the story slightly. I'm sure there's going to be bits that I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this is fantastic. Yeah. But right now it kind of just felt very fresh and felt very new, but at the same time very familiar. And it was awesome. I loved it. It was great. When it finished half an hour, I was like, no, I was just really, I could have happily, it would have been one of those moments. On. Yeah, it was probably about, we watched Red Sparrow as part of our 52 movies in 2019. We watched Red Sparrow, and that was a hard watch. That was I said to one of my friends at work, I was like, God, that's a hard watch. It's an interesting movie, but a really hard watch. And Nicola was like, oh, that's done me. I've got a headache. It was too deep. That was too nasty an experience. I'm going to bed. I was like, okay, and I could have, if I had Resident Evil 2, I could have just happily played into the early hours of the morning, because I was just so in the zone at that point, and I was just so I think it's half of it's due to me being very thirsty for something new. I'm struggling. Listening to you talk about Red Dead, it makes me want to get back into it, but I'm struggling with Red Dead. I'm struggling with anything at the moment. If we were back in the 360 days where it kind of showed you your activity, because it was like Chessman played this, Chessman played that, you would just see me jumping in and out of games all weekend. Nicola's playing Spider-Man, she's happy, and I'm just like, well, I'm going to play some games, and there's nothing that is hooking me. It's like, oh, Sea of Thieves, no one's around, I won't play Sea of Thieves. Forza, I have a quick couple of drives in Forza, and then I was like, what about this? And nothing was kind of grabbing me. I tried Assassin's Creed Odyssey for a bit, and that just wasn't grabbing me, but I was just like, I just think I'm in that mode where I really kind of, I'm looking forward to Kingdom Hearts, I'm looking forward to Resident Evil, and I think I'm almost kind of, my focus is on 2019 rather than kind of the other games, and I'm a bit annoyed at myself that I can't find a game to jump into. But I was talking to you just before we started podding, about kind of Spyro, about just jumping in, because I have got 2 weeks until Resident Evil comes out, so jumping into Spyro, or maybe a bit of Soul Calibur or something like that, just because I want to game, but I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for Resident Evil.
Your time. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. I think in a way we spoiled. I think you guys kind of touched upon it in sort of the last pod. It's the sheer number and volume of games that we've got to play now is probably bigger than or greater than it's ever been before. If you look at sort of all the things that you've got on demand, the store, your Game Pass, with EA Access, that sort of thing, everything's on demand. You've pretty much got the full sort of the whole package in the palm of your hands, haven't you? Whereas if you look back at 360, we were still pretty much in the era of you had to have it on disc, and you had the sort of your arcade games that were downloaded, but everything was pretty much physical, so you didn't have everything on demand like we do now. So it's kind of like you say, you kind of spoiled for choice in a way, in terms of I could play that, but I could play that, and you end up just thinking you don't know what you fancy playing.
Paralysis by choice.
Yeah.
There was one point where I almost downloaded Mass Effect Andromeda, Steve.
Well,
that's how bad it was. I was just
you can't be that desperate, surely.
Exactly. I wanted something. I wanted a first-person shoot-'em-up. At one point, I played Gears, and then I was like, no, I want to play a first-person shoot-'em-up. And I was just literally, that was kind of where I was kind of bouncing all over the place at the weekend. Because, one of the big things for me was that I finished Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. So I finished that. I think I finished that on Thursday. So that was I had a big old kind of gaming session on that, just kind of getting Let's Go Pikachu kind of finished. And I really enjoyed that. I put about 35 hours, I think. I think my final clock was about 35 hours of Pokemon, and I really enjoyed it. I kind of became that Pokemon champion, and kind of just Fartface, who was my nemesis, because I love it. At the start, it's like, please name this person. I'm like, Fartface, and it's just like, and it made me chuckle every time Fartface came into it. And I beat him at the end, and he kind of challenged me to go and find another Pokemon, but I was like, no, you go, Fartface, off you go. I'm kind of done. I'm done with Pokemon. I'm ready now for the next one. Obviously, if we get the next one this year or next year, I'm ready for more Pokemon. But I really enjoyed it. By the end, the battles that I was going through at the end were tense. I was neck and neck on some points. I was close to being beaten, and I was very strategical when it came to the end. It was just, there was a real strategy to it. To start off with, it's so easy, but by the time you get to the end, you are kind of selecting out your Pokemon. You're kind of mixing up kind of different potions to give them, and whatever you need just to kind of make them that you'll get through those battles. And I just absolutely loved it. It was really cool. It was a really good kind of refresh into Pokemon, and I can see kind of why Nintendo released that one now, to just get the people like me, people like you, maybe Steve, you're already waiting for that next Pokemon to come out, that next proper Pokemon to come out, but this has kind of now made me a bit of a Pokemon fan. I kind of, I'm not about to wear a Pikachu t-shirt, but I'm really interested on the next one.
Well, that's it. It's kind of, this was always intended to be a stopgap, wasn't it, like you said, because we know there's a new Pokemon game coming to the Switch, but
yes.
I think this kind of, because people have been sort of, I was one of them that said, well, just bring all the old Pokemon games to the Switch, just bring them all out to the Nintendo store, but I think this kind of, whether we'll do that or not, this kind of bridges all those gaps in it, because it's got obviously bits from the newer Pokemons, but obviously it's got the sort of it's based on the older ones, hasn't it? But then obviously it's got the new graphics and things, so I can see why they've done it, and, to kind of buy into the Pokemon Go hype as well, to try and get people back involved with Pokemon Go and include that as well. So it's kind of the perfectly timed sort of release, isn't it, really? But it's something that I always had intentions of sort of renting, because, as much as I love my Pokemon, I think it'll be a case of that I will play it and play it through, and then that probably will do me until this next Pokemon game comes out, or unless we get sort of, like I said, the older ones come out to the sort of the Nintendo store. So I'll kind of put that on the sort of top of my boomerang list for the next one, I think, or maybe even for our big holiday in sort of May, June time. Maybe get it in time for that, and then I can take the Switch with me on holiday, then I can kind of play that whilst we're down there. So yeah, but I'm, I was kind of listening to what you were saying about it, about you sort of your Let's Go sort of Pokemon sort of adventures, as it were, with Fartface, and, and like you say, there's, as much as people sort of bash it, it is very strategic, isn't it? In terms of, well, I've got this gym battle to do, so I need to put these Pokemon in, and I'll have a mixture of this, these elemental Pokemon, so I'll have some electric Pokemon, some water Pokemon, some grass Pokemon, and I need to have my potions and my ethers, and, whatever it may be, it is quite strategic and quite addictive in a way. So once you kind of get that sort of hook in terms of leveling your Pokemon or catching Pokemon and then evolving Pokemon, it kind of sinks its teeth into you, doesn't it? To kind of just keep going and going and going and sort of releasing the two different versions. Are there noticeable differences between the two Because I've not seen many sort of differences between the sort of the Eevee version and the Pikachu version.
No, I think it's just the initial character you get, because obviously, I have Pikachu, so I just have Pikachu. He's kind of the first one in my set, in my kind of my team. He's always with me, he's kind of there on my shoulder as I'm walking around. He's just there, and I think Eevee's the same. So whether it's kind of it's whether you like playing as Eevee or you like playing as Pikachu, I think it's kind of that. And I always had, I think I got Pikachu up to level 60 by the time I finished, and he was always kind of my first, whenever I went into a battle, he was the first one that I took into the battle most of the time. Sometimes it was like, I'm going to do that, so I quickly swapped them around. And but towards the end, I got some kind of stone. It was like a power stone, and that enabled me to take my Charizard up to like a Mega Charizard, and there was all that sort of stuff, and that was fantastic. Seeing that evolve every match, and then and there was two there. There was an X and a Y, so I could choose which one I wanted to take, whichever kind of. And it really got you thinking. When I was kind of getting to the end of the game, and I was getting into that end game, I just couldn't put it down. That was like, I was walking around the house, just kind of playing it. So I was like downstairs in the movie room. Nicola was playing the games, and she kind of went upstairs, and I just kind of, as she abluted, I kind of just went and sat on the bed, and then I kind of, I was just taking it with me because I just didn't want to stop.
To the Switch.
Exactly. I was absolutely just glued to it because I knew that I was kind of getting close. And then when it finished, I was like, oh, it's finished. But I was just, it was a real good night of kind of like finishing the game, and that was like, it was just so much fun. So I really enjoyed it.
I wasn't sure if it kind of, because obviously back in the days when Red and Blue came out, obviously you had different Pokemon to kind of capture on each game, and I know obviously you different sort of Pokemon who follows you around, but different. I didn't know if that was the same on sort of the Pikachu and the Eevee versions or not, but I'm kind of glad in a way that it's not, because that obviously will sort of make people buy both versions, wouldn't it? So and then kind of have to play it all again. So I'm glad it's kind of just the same, but obviously that's just the different tweak to them, as it were.
Absolutely. I think I caught an Eevee, and I actually had at one point I had about 4 Pikachus as well. So I just sent those off to Professor Oak, and got some bonus rare candy for him and stuff like that. So I haven't caught all of them. So there's still some gaps in my Pokédex, and whether I'll go back and play those, maybe because actually no, I bought that as a cartridge because it was while I was in the US that I just kind of picked that up. It came out. I was in a Target, so I just went, I'll grab that, and just kind of grab that to play. So I didn't download it. I think I was in the bad Wi-Fi. Because I was in one hotel that had really good Wi-Fi, and one hotel was really terrible. And I think so I just grabbed it. So I actually have it as physical. But it's something you can just kind of leave in there, because I have no other physical games. So I could just leave it in there, and every now and then just kind of pop and play.
Yeah, just forget it's there. I always do that with the Switch. I was like, oh, that's still in there. So, I think Captain Toad's in there at the moment. After I sent Lego Incredibles back, but because a lot of them, I've got quite a few that are digital. You just forget about them and they're being in there, don't you?
Absolutely. So that's what I've been playing. So I've finished Pokemon, finished that one-shot demo, and now kind of just really kind of in a holding pattern, waiting for that next game to come out. So should we jump into the news?
Yes.
But before we start, don't forget you can rate, review, and subscribe to this very podcast for free on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. So let's start the news section. And in this week's news section, Bungie announced a split from Activision. We've got full crossplay coming to Rocket League, and data mining on the Switch reveals some interesting news. But Steve, that first piece of news is with you.
So as you just sort of alluded to there, there's kind of a bit of a out of the blue announcement that Bungie and Activision are parting ways. So obviously Bungie are the guys who have brought us Destiny, since obviously relinquishing Halo and Master Chief duties, and Activision been the people behind Call of Duty. But they initially teamed up in 2010 when they announced obviously the sort of a 10-year deal between them of sort of, and then they outlined Destiny's path, as it were, with the first one coming out in 2014, and then Destiny 2 coming out 2 years ago now. Did it come out in 2017, I think? So Bungie are retaining sort of ownership of the Destiny IP, but Activision are retaining. So they had full publishing rights, Activision, but Bungie are now keeping everything from what has been sort of announced. I think there were kind of sort of mumblings and sort of suggestions that this might happen. I think it was kind of the Activision kind of sort of showed that they weren't happy with how much Destiny 2 had earned in sort of a financial call or a sales call, sort of either last year or the year before. So, and as we all know, I don't think Destiny 2 did quite as well as it probably could have done, or should have done, in some ways. But I don't think we expected it to actually kind of come to a head as it has done, because obviously it's 2 years short of, or maybe 1 year short now of what we were expecting for the 10 years, So,
Yes.
They've not even gone the full length, as it were, So it's a bit of an odd one. Like I say, I mean, everything will still work as it should do. I think they've said that Destiny will still run on Battle.net, that sort of thing, which is obviously the Activision side of things. But then Bungie will now have sort of retaining rights and publishing rights of Destiny going forward. So it kind of leaves you sort of wondering what Destiny 3 will be, because obviously Activision were obviously kind of going to sort of the finances behind Destiny, weren't they? In terms of, well, we'll fund Destiny, obviously, but obviously we've got publishing rights, so we'll take a cut of whatever it sells. But I mean, Bungie won't necessarily be short of money, but without Activision behind them, it's kind of, well, what will they do now? Because, like I said, Destiny 2 wasn't as good as it probably could have been or should have been. But without that sort of financial powerhouse behind them that is Activision or another big publisher, if they don't get snapped up, what will happen now? Because like I say, will people want a Destiny 3 or be willing to buy a Destiny 3 after? Because we had the whole sort of loot crate gate, didn't we, or loot box gate with Destiny? So they've got a lot of ground to make up in terms of trying to get people back on board with it, but especially now Activision have kind of ditched them and left them. It makes you wonder what's going to happen, in terms of it. Is that it now? Is that Destiny done? Are they kind of going to carry it on or wind it up? It's a bit of an odd one, because I think it's one of them. I think Destiny came out just ahead of its time, didn't it, really, a little bit? I think it came out, because obviously it came out with a new generation of consoles, but came out with a last generation, so it was kind of held back by the PS3 and 360 a little bit, wasn't it, in terms of it didn't really make the full benefit of the generational leap. But then Destiny 2, was kind of held back by its own sort of design in terms of the loot crates, some of the sort of, strange design choices from when it first released. And for me in particular, I was still at, we were between houses when it came out, so we were at my parents' house, so we didn't have access to great internet, so I didn't really play Destiny 2 as much as probably what I'd have liked to, and probably can't really give it a full sort of gauge as to what it was like, but it was definitely better than Destiny 1, in terms of its worlds, its graphics, its story. So, and it obviously ditched Peter Dinklage, didn't it? So it got rid of old Dinklebot.
They patched him out.
Yeah,
they patched him out.
Yeah. They updated him and got rid of him. Yeah. Dinklebot 2.0, just with no Dinklage. But yes, so yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. So I'm not entirely sure where that leaves them. I mean, they obviously, Bungie kind of reassured people that they admitted that it's not going to be easy. Self-publishing wasn't going to be easy, but they kind of said they see unbounded opportunities and potential in Destiny, which kind of is that kind of them just kind of being positive, or were they held back by Activision? Were they kind of reined in by Activision? Or do they now have full creative freedom? It'll be interesting to see where they go with it. But when we will see that where they go with it, who knows? Who knows now? It's a bit of a strange one.
No, absolutely. I didn't see this coming at all when I kind of saw that announcement. I was quite shocked. I was quite surprised to see that, because obviously Bungie, they pulled away from Microsoft and left Halo behind, but at least this time they're taking that franchise with them. I mean, it's quite funny. I was just having a look at kind of Wasted on Destiny, and I played 120 hours of the original Destiny, and 51 hours of Destiny 2, and up until I think there was a whole bunch of us playing the raid, and I think that's the last time I went back into Destiny. But I'm hearing good things about Forsaken, which is the latest expansion from Destiny, and that's the entry price to that. I think right now Destiny's kind of either was or still is free on the PlayStation Network, and then I think the entry price to that is about £30, $40, and that that will get you that kind of season pass. And I'm hearing some really good stuff about the story in that Forsaken, which is the latest one. I'm sure it's the Forsaken. And there's I paid for, because I bought like the Ultimate Edition of Destiny 2. I've got an expansion that came out just before that I haven't even kind of played, and I bought it, but I just haven't played it. I think kind of we had an experience where we spent the entire day trying to do one of their raids, and it was great fun. It was a really good laugh, but it was really frustrating. And I just because I didn't do a raid in Destiny 1, I kind of got to that point where I go, okay, I've played for this game and I've really enjoyed it. Nicola and I played it co-op the entire way, and then I was just like, but this is the end game, and this frustrates the hell out of me. So I didn't uninstall it or anything, but I was just like, I'm kind of done until they bring out more story DLC. And now kind of Nicola's kind of doing other stuff, so she's not kind of interested in kind of jumping back into Destiny. But I'm sure when Destiny 3 rolls around, I'm sure she's going to kind of hopefully kind of get back interested. But I think that's what Activision are going to do now. They're going to just, they'll be similar to IO Interactive, who got rights of Hitman, away. They got that, or IO2 or whatever they're called now. They got the rights to Hitman. They're just going to bring out another one. So I'm sure that Bungie are now kind of working on a third Destiny, which is going to be their vision. I'm not sure. The one thing that I'm not quite sure about is that when this news announced, everyone was like, wow, Bungie can make the Destiny that they want. And I'm pretty sure they're making the Destiny that they want right now. I don't think Activision... Okay, Activision are always kind of the big bad Activision, but I'm sure, and they're a company, so they want people to make money. But I'm pretty sure that what the Destiny that we've got is very close to what Bungie want to release, and their vision. So I'll be interested to see what Destiny 3 or the next piece, because if you remember back in that reveal that happened, it was supposed to be just one game that would be going on for 10 years, but Destiny 2 came out and it's now 4K HDR on Xbox One X, and looking lovely. But I'll be really interested to see kind of where the next installment takes us, and whether that. And I think you're right. I think we do need that fresh next Destiny. We need the kind of a fresh one, rather than just keep adding expansions to that map. I think we just need that kind of, and it would be great even if they kind of could try and tie in the three together as well. So you imagine if like Destiny 3 came out, but they had the worlds and all of the stuff from Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, similar to Hitman 2, where you can go back and play Hitman's levels, but within Hitman 2. That would be fantastic. So you just have this one version, but you can kind of span the entire story. Stuff like that would be really impressive.
Yeah, well, I think Destiny 2 was kind of released as, not probably it was thought of that way initially, but it kind of was released to kind of right the wrongs of Destiny 1, wasn't it? In terms of, right, well,
yes.
Well, you didn't like the worlds in that one in terms of the mission, so we've put that right, and then you didn't like that, so we've done that then, so it's kind of like, well, Destiny 2 is what Destiny 1 should have been, so like you say, it'd be better if Destiny 3 now isn't what Destiny 2 should have or could have been. Like you say, just wipe the slate clean, because these two could now be learning pieces, couldn't they? It's like, right, well, we've learned from Destiny, we've learned from Destiny 2. This is what we wanted. Like you say, that one game that just kept going and going and going and going, like a sort of like it could be like a console version of Warcraft, couldn't it? In terms of that's just your base, then you've got new packs that come out every 6 to 12 months, £20-30, this does this, and then this does this, and you could have that hub world, and then they could release DLC as new worlds or new areas, couldn't they? In terms of, maybe a bit sort of blue sky thinking, but maybe tapping into sort of future generational, power from a new console. If they had that sort of hub world that was online and shared, and then you went to new planets and vice versa, and that sort of thing. So that could work. It could work for them. Whether they've got the finances to now do that'd be interesting, because that will cost a lot of money to develop and maintain, because obviously it'll mean some hellishly expensive and powerful servers to run that. But if they can sort of tap into a deal with the likes of Microsoft, and they can get the power of the the Microsoft or the Xbox Cloud to help with that, it could benefit them in the future. But like you say, if they could just now, like you said, I don't think they were kind of really restrained or throttled by Activision. I think they were kind of under pressure to achieve, as they would be by any sort of publisher, because they'll say, well, this is your budget for making the game and this is the return that we expect on it, that's just natural because at the end of the day it's business. But I don't think they were ever sort of, like I say, throttled or on a tight leash to say, we want this, but you can't do this, you can't do that, we need another Halo, because I think they kind of did their own thing, didn't they, really? And Destiny 2 wasn't bad as such, but like I say, it was just more kind of a game that came out to kind of right the wrongs of the first game, so that kind of limited its sort of both appeal and its scope in terms of what it could be. So, if they could now, like you say, just it's the Destiny universe, but it's a new world, or it's a new set of guardians or people, or a new race, that sort of thing. That'd bring a fresh start to it and just get people excited about the whole Destiny world again and the universe again, because Bungie have got the right credentials, as we know, because they've worked on this and the Master Chief, so they've clearly got the minds behind it, the creativity behind it to come up with new species, races, worlds, that sort of thing, because I think the one thing that I liked about Destiny 2 was kind of the races behind it and sort of the different, different sort of perks and twists to how you fought the different races and on different planets, that sort of thing. So it'd be great to see that applied again to just slightly different universe or different part of the same universe.
Yeah, absolutely. There was one thing, when you're first playing a new, fresh Destiny or a Destiny expansion, just going into those different worlds and seeing those different enemies, so Destiny 2 had some from Destiny 1, but it just felt really good just to kind of go into that new planet and explore that environment. And as you say, the credentials that Bungie have, the one thing that Destiny does do really well, and it's making me want to play Destiny now. Maybe that's the game I'll play until I'll just play on my own. I won't wait for Nicola. I'll just play on my own. But the one thing that they do really well is the shooting mechanics and the guns as well, because they feel so good. They feel so a bit like Borderlands. They feel so different, but they feel so good. Each one kind of does feel different, and how you handle it and how you shoot and how you play with a shotgun is very different to how you play with the other rifles and things. And it always felt amazing. Kind of jumping into there, zooming around on a sparrow, jumping off, and then just kind of jumping into a whole bunch of bads, always felt like so much fun. And it was that kind of that formula that you had with Destiny was just really good. I mean, Nicola and I lost hours just doing kind of missions in Destiny where you'd go and just collectibles, that grind, if you will, but it was fun grind. We were just going there doing missions and just kind of getting our stats up. It was great fun, and I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, I'll be interested to see what happens with Destiny, see where Bungie takes it now. They now have their own franchise. They're now their own studio, kind of away from Activision, and I'll be interested to see kind of what we get next. And one of the things you said actually kind of hit a note, which is like Microsoft. It'll be interesting to see now where kind of Bungie where they lie in terms of if there's going to be any exclusives or any exclusive content, because Activision are quite tied to PlayStation with like Call of Duty and also Destiny. A lot of the content was coming first on PlayStation or only on PlayStation, and now that they're kind of away from Activision, are the big three now going, if you come over to us, we'll give you some more cash, or us, you created Halo with us, come over here and give us some exclusive content now. And I wonder if they've got lots of checkbooks kind of knocking down their door, or if people are just actually stepping away and going, let's just see how this pans out, and then we'll take it from there. But no doubt, Activision's shares took a tumble when this was announced. There was because they made a lot of money, and I'm sure they will still kind of make some money from this. I'm sure there's in the contract there's still kind of a percentage that's going to go to Activision, just for all of that, just to pay off that loan, or Bobby Kodecker send the boys round if they don't pay it. So I'm sure there's they're still making money from this, but more power to them, and I'll be interested to see what the future lies. Next piece of news is for me, and that's kind of similar, kind of interesting, let's see how this pans out kind of category, and that is that Jeremy Dunham, who is the Vice President of Psyonix, announced yesterday that Rocket League is going to go full crossplay. So I think within the PlayStation Beta program, where we have Fortnite currently, the PlayStation Beta program has now taken in Rocket League, which now means that you can play Rocket League with anyone on pretty much any platform. So PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and Steam PC, you can now create a match with someone from all of those. So this is I think the update is going to go live today as time of recording, which is, what day is it today, Steve? It's the 15th of January. 15th of January. So the update is going to go live. And like I say, on the PlayStation blog post, they just said to make sure that crossplay, what you should do is next time you fire up Rocket League, you'll get an update. But to make sure that crossplay is enabled, as it is by default, head to the main menu, select options, and then make sure that the crossplay box is checked in the gameplay tab. And this way you can then play against gamers across all platforms. You can also set up private parties. So the cross-platform play is going to be available for their modes, and I did have it listed down here: casual, competitive, and extra modes. So that's where you can play, and you can also create private parties. So they're going to be later on. They're going to be rolling out something which will allow now you to play a party system. So a party system is coming to Rocket League, but right now what you can do is you can do a private match, and then you can then choose. So Steve, you on Switch, Manny on PlayStation 4, and James on Xbox. We could all just jump in and just kind of play that. So I just think this is fantastic. I mean, Stuart and I were chatting about this last week. This is the kind of one thing that I and a lot of other people are kind of really hoping that we get this year, that, or next generation, maybe we won't get it this generation, but we get cross-play on big titles, big Ubisoft titles, things like The Division 2 and stuff like that. That would be so good if we didn't have to worry about what console you were on in order to play with friends.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of initially came about with Fortnite, didn't it? With Sony kind of begrudgingly allowing Fortnite to be cross-platform, and I think they kind of had to, really, because just to tap into the, sort of the untamed beast that Fortnite is with how successful it's been, hasn't it? I think they'd have been stupid not to do that, but it's the first kind of step in the right direction of kind of not harmony between the side of the big three, but kind of unity between the big three in terms of seeing the bigger picture of this will be better for gaming and the people as a whole. Rather than just saying, no, we're not doing it. If you want to play Rocket League with friends, they have to play it on PlayStation, that's it. And, that's kind of been a bit sort of, a bit Hitler about the whole thing. But yeah, it's nice to see. I don't think we'll kind of, I don't think we'll see the sort of one sort of consoles to rule them all sort of thing between the big three. I don't think we'll ever see that. But at least they're showing that they are willing to cooperate in terms of, will allow you to do that, because they see the importance of people playing together on different consoles and the benefit of doing that, because, it's like, say, they might be playing with people on a different console, but by doing that, they could bring them over to that console, or they could talk about games that are on each console and bring people across and, naturally migrate from Xbox to PlayStation to Switch. It's, there'll be a lot of interchange on that. So I think it will bring a lot of benefit, and I think, I don't think it'll be easy in terms of, I'm sure in the background it does take a lot of work. I'm sure it will be quite a lot of programming and a lot of things that could potentially go wrong in terms of lots of different servers having to work together to kind of, to allow the cross-platform to happen. But certainly I see the benefit of it, and I'm glad that Sony have finally relented and kind of let the reins go a little bit in terms of giving fans what they want, because it's what they've been asking for quite some time now, isn't it? In terms of just giving them a bit of freedom to do this. And like you say, for us in particular, for people who have got, maybe just to play, I mean, I think we've got every console that we've got, but if you could only play on the Switch, for example, because you don't have access to the TV, and I've got the Xbox, and like Manny and James have got their PS4, rounding everybody up on 3 or 4 different platforms is just, just makes logical sense. It just makes perfect sense.
It really does. It really does. There's like a couple of friends at work. They've started playing Destiny because it was free. There's Destiny 2 on PlayStation 4, and I'd love to jump in with my Guardian, at the light level it is, and kind of help them out and kind of play some of that sort of stuff. But because I did that on Xbox, I can't do that, and I would love to be able to do that. Division 2's coming out, and we're all going to want to kind of jump into that. We're quite lucky because I think most of the people that that we played Division 2, which was, we were all on Xbox, weren't we?
Yeah.
But, you already start having those conversations going, well, I'm going to get it on the PlayStation, because don't forget, that's obviously PS Plus, Xbox Gold, is needed for those, so maybe people just choose to kind of have an Xbox Gold account rather than a PS Plus account, because I even, my PS Plus was kind of up for renewal. Lucky it just happened and I forgot. I thought it was at the end of January, but it was at the start. But I was like, do I need it? Do I really need it? Do I pay that much online? And then I just got a message going, you've renewed. Thank you very much for renewing. So I was like, I'll have this discussion with myself next year. But, and so, but some people just kind of opt to just have one. And it would be so good just to be able to kind of not worry about what platform. Oh, well, you're playing it over there, so you can't do it. And obviously, we saw last week with Spider-Man selling kind of 9.1 million that the exclusives are still helping those consoles, but just that Shangri-La of being able to play the Ubisoft titles, the EA titles, Anthem, Titanfall, being able to kind of jump into a matchmaking system no matter what system you're on. And that's what we got with Rocket League. It makes me want to kind of get Rocket League out and suck all over again, because I do with Rocket League. But it's fun.
One
now,
that Thomas screams at you again.
Oh my god, yes. But it's good, and it's really interesting that the PlayStation blog, it was really funny, even on their kind of what they kind of had that last little dig. They were like, should you want to play with your friends on other platforms, you could just select play from the main menu, private match followed by create or join a private match. And I love that bit at the start. It's like, should you want to play with anyone who's not on the PlayStation? Yes, who's not one of these 80.7 quadrillion PlayStations that they have after last week's sales figures. But it's really interesting. So we've now got Fortnite, we've now got Rocket League. I'm sure some of these others kind of free to play games are going to kind of head down that way, but it would be really nice to kind of see Ubisoft or EA kind of start making those, or maybe even Minecraft could be next, because that's kind of another one of those games that would be great. And I'm sure Minecraft you can play with Xbox and Switch, I think, already. So maybe that, I think that was PlayStation didn't want you logging in with an Xbox login, because I think even when you're on the Switch and you log on, it does give you that Microsoft kind of account that you have to log into.
Yeah, 'cause they're still owned by them out there now, so...
Yeah. So maybe kind of Sony saw that, they were like, no way, we're not going to, not a hope. So Rocket League joining that crossplay family, and I'm very excited. Steve, we've got another little kind of quick snippet news bit. Do you want to kind of take that?
Yeah, so kind of keeping on sort of the same theme, a segue, as Thomas would like, moving on into another segue of kind of online gaming, is that there's a free trial of Black Ops 4's Blackout Battle Royale mode. That's coming in 2 days' time on January the 17th, as we pod on the 15th, for a full week. So it's going from the 17th to the 24th on both Xbox and PS4, which I think is quite good, actually, because particularly for me, with sort of in this sort of version of Black Ops, with them ditching the sort of the traditional sort of Call of Duty as a single player and it's got an online mode and they've just kind of gone, it's all online now. For me, as somebody who kind of likes a traditional sort of single player campaign before moving on to the online section, paying £40-50 for just a purely online game, which is the part of the game I'm not overly fussed for. This is great. It gives people, a chance to sort of test it, just download that portion of the game for free, and then take it from there. But I mean, I've heard sort of positive things from you guys, and kind of across sort of the Twitter sphere as well, with regards to the Blackout, the Blackout mode, more than saying it's more than just obviously sort of a cheap Fortnite clone, which I think that was the sort of the worry about these sort of things, with people going down this route in terms of sort of Call of Duty having it and then Battlefield having it, just trying to tap into it and not really sort of thinking it through. But from what I've seen, people do seem to be quite pleased with this, and there are sort of people who have got sort of money behind them to do this. It's Call of Duty, isn't it? It is Activision, it is Treyarch, it is sort of these people who can throw money at these things to try it, see what it's like, if not, and then just change it for the next one. So, but it's good that they give them the full week, because these things kind of just happen over a weekend normally, don't they? It's normally just, there's a free weekend, but giving access for a full week, it gives people plenty of opportunity to have one or more nights on it and go from there. But going back to what we were saying, if this was cross-platform, if Call of Duty was cross-platform, or these sort of modes are cross-platform, that you could access this with friends across different formats, I think that would be the real next sort of step and the next push, kind of merging the two stories together. But it's nice to see, sort of the big boys, for want of a better phrase out there, sort of relinquishing sort of the games for a week, to give out. Obviously the intent is for people to buy it, but it's nice for them to do it. It's nice for them to offer that opportunity up in the first place. Try it for a week, see what you think, and then maybe if you like it, you can, if they give an incentive there to say, oh, you got 10% off or something off the back end of it, that'd be nice. But it's a starting point, isn't it? To trial a game for that length of time, see if you're happy with it or not. Definitely,
absolutely, and especially as you can now buy a version of Blackout or your Black Ops 4, you can buy it without the zombies as well, so you can buy just the Blackout and multiplayer. So maybe even after this week, maybe they might go, now you can buy Blackout on its own as well, and then maybe even break that out so you just play Battle Royale. But I jumped into the beta, and I'm definitely going to jump in over the weekend and have a bit of a play, so because I'm on that lull, so I can kind of just spend some time doing that, and I'm just going to jump in and have a bit of a kick around and see kind of just exactly how good it is now, because as you say, I've heard some really good things on Twitter and stuff, that there's heard some yummy noises towards Blackout, that it's a really good version of PUBG, I guess, rather than Fortnite. But no, really good, and that's coming. So like I say, the dates again for that are the 17th of January to the 24th. So as you say, Steve, it's a whole week, and that's coming to Xbox and PlayStation 4. And then the final piece of news is with me, and it's like someone's gone data mining on the Switch, and a modder, a Nintendo modder, who's in the Reddit Nintendo community, Cappuccino Heck, tweeted this weekend that he's dug into the NES online files, and he's found a long list of references to SNES games, which is leaving kind of everybody going bananas, thinking that we're going to that the online subscription games that we're getting, we've got a whole bunch of NES games at the moment, are going to be kind of now including SNES games very soon. And there was also a lot of talk last week that there should be a Nintendo Direct coming, but I think they said it was going to be coming on the 14th, and that obviously kind of went and hasn't happened. But some of the games that are in, and I can stick a link to the Polygon article in the show notes, but some of the games that are coming out are Super Mario Kart, Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, Yoshi's Island, Kirby's Dream Course, Star Fox, Super Ghost and Ghouls, Super Metroid, Super Mario World, and more interestingly, Super Mario All-Stars as well, which kind of almost covers all of those. I remember kind of playing that, Breath of Fire 2, and Super Punch-Out. So there was a whole list of games, which, like I say, is just like a lot of people kind of now just guessing that we're going to get that SNES update, which we kind of was always hoping that they would give us NES, and then they would give us SNES, and then hopefully, N64, and you can only hope GameCube as well.
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of not inevitable, but kind of expected, really, isn't it, that after the first batch of those NES games that were released with the sort of the subscription service, that they might do a few more NES games first, and then, like you say, progressively move on to SNES, and then hopefully move on to the future titles. I mean, it all depends on what Nintendo's next step is in terms of the mini consoles, doesn't it? Because, I mean, the natural move for them next is the mini N64, because we've had the NES, we've had the SNES. The next one would be the mini N64. So what are they doing? Are they kind of following that pattern with this as well? They're going NES, SNES, N64, GameCube. Are they going to go virtual console? Because I know they've said they're not going to do it, but it won't be like Nintendo to say we're not doing it and then do it, would it? Do you know what I mean? So it's, that could still be a possibility as well. So it could be something that they do through that avenue. But from the list there, there's a lot of sort of, I mean, this was sort of pre my era, but sort of if you look at the sort of the big names from that era of sort of NES and SNES, the kind of the main games and the big ones from there are in that list, aren't they? It's not a case of these are just kind of a handful of games that people haven't heard of and we just, use them as filler. You've got your Mario Kart, you've got your Legend of Zelda, you've got your Yoshi, you've got your Mario, Star Fox is in there, Metroid's in there. So it's a quite a comprehensive list of games, for people to have incentivized. And for me, the online thing for the Switch is a bit of a luxury in terms of I probably won't get it unless something significantly changes in sort of my gaming habits to justify paying for it. I know it's not a lot, but obviously for you guys in particular, having the access to these games would be sort of that pull. But for me, it would be the next ones, the N64 games, the GameCube games, if they start coming to it and they're the sort of the next level of games that they're bringing out as part of that, sort of Nintendo's, own games with gold service, that sort of thing, that would be my sort of hook then. But I mean, whether this is reliable or not, who's to say in terms of, it's just somebody data mining, which people do. People can get all sorts of data from anything now, can't they? It's, if people really want to find something, they will. With technology, you can't really keep many secrets these days, because it's like when people game and they go through like PC games, they go through all the file paths and the documents and the files and folders, and they find this and they find that, and so it's not surprising that is in there. But whether or not it actually turns out to be true or not is a completely different story altogether. But it would make sense anyway, wouldn't it, really?
If I was a developer, I'd just leave lists like this in there. Just like you say, just in a TXT file or something like that, I would just leave a list of this sort of stuff. I was just like, just of references remmed out somewhere, and just like kind of just leave that just for the giggles.
Yeah.
I'm sure Nintendo are far more professional than I am, but I would just do that just for these kind of people that are just looking at my my netcode and stuff.
Give everything code names of previous games and titles to think and lead them down the garden path, and then go jump all the fires. And do you really think I'm that stupid? Did you really think you were onto something here? Yeah.
All my variables are old Nintendo consoles. It's like the Nintendo 64 is just a variable, and they're like, it's coming to Nintendo 64. But yes, but like I say, it's a really good list. I mean, I've kind of dipped in and out of the NES games. I'd be more interested with the SNES and the N64. But it's a nice thing to do when I'm on the train every now and then, and just kind of jump in and kind of pick one off and have a quick play. But yeah, I'd love some of those. If some of those titles, like I say, I'll stick a link to Polygon in the show notes, but yeah, that's good. It's hopefully we'll get a Nintendo Direct soon, because we're kind of due one. We haven't had one for a while, really, have we?
Yeah, well,
since Smash, I think, was the last one, wasn't it? And that's probably still going.
I'm going to say they're still on a loop somewhere. Probably just and the next character, and the next one, and the next one. Just give it a rest already. But yeah, we're due a non-Smash Nintendo Direct, aren't we? Something a bit different,
yes.
But they do kind of 1 1/4 or something roughly like that or something. So we'll be due one at some time in the new year, won't we? So I would have thought sort of maybe late January kind of go through, then maybe sort of February, March time, because that'll kind of that's when they start putting the feelers out there for their sort of year, isn't it? So this is what's coming, this is what's happening. Then there's always that sort of glimpse of a logo of maybe Pokemon or Mario or Zelda or Metroid or something to say
Animal Crossing.
Yeah, Animal Crossing. Yeah.
Oh.
Still praying.
Come on, Animal Crossing.
Still hoping and praying. That'll be instantly game of the year when and if that happens, won't it? So
oh my goodness, that is just it.
We don't even need to have a game of the year. That's just it. So yeah,
we change our name to the Animal Crossing podcast when that comes out. Superb, excellent stuff. And on that Animal Crossing note, that's about it for this episode. Big thank you for listening, and also Steve, big thanks for pulling up a mic.
No, thank you. It's good to be back.
Don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamersoflostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter, we're at LostSparkPod. You can find us on YouTube and also on Gamers of Lost Spark PS4 Community and Xbox One Club. Steve, where can people catch up with you?
So I am Steve Carter 91 on Xbox Live. I am Cartero on the PlayStation Network, and at Steve_Carter 91 on Twitter.
Excellent stuff from me. I am Chessman on Xbox Live and Nintendo Switch, PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and Chessman UK on Twitter. Don't forget, if you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. Are you going to play Life is Strange now?
I'm going to try it. Yeah, I think I'll try and squeeze an hour or two in before bed, and then, but like I say, I'll probably end up playing episode 2, 3, 4 and 5 and just carry on to work in the morning. Just keep going. I'll put my work stuff on now. I don't worry about getting changed. I'll just get ready for work now and just keep going. I'll plough through.
That's it. Just play it in your work gear. That'll be just awesome.
Yeah. Be professional about the whole thing.
We'll skedaddle. Say goodbye, Steve.
Goodbye, Steve. Are you not saying goodbye? Is that it?
That's it.
Yeah,
I don't say goodbye.
I don't need to say goodbye. It's my podcast, damn it.
I've already said goodbye. I've just said that's about it. Bye. Bye. Bye.